Okay. If you have been wondering how and why you operate the way you do in life, then you are at the right place because we're going to be talking about this book right here. Your body is your brain. And essentially, it's about leading more powerfully, so to speak. But I feel like it's helped with just everyday life and figuring out how I operate the way that I do and how to be more efficient with my body and with the way that I take up space in my present. Okay, so in chapter one, there's a section that talks about pattern detection instruments, and it's basically how we operate with life, how we see things and we associate them with objects, with people, places. We see a church and we automatically think about God, or we automatically thinking about going to church with our family on Sundays, or we see a dog and you automatically associate it with either being friendly or it may bite you. It's literally just how you interact with everything that you see and with everything that happens within the environment. And this is important because the things that we saw when we were younger and we may see in our adulthood, sometimes we've buried a lot of things that we don't want to deal with or that we just simply forgot about, that it affects us in our adulthood, and sometimes it brings a sense of fear or anxiety or or happiness, but it can be unknown because we're not aware of it because it's almost automatic. And then in the next part of this book, it talks about behavioral access and how we not only communicate by vocalizing, but obviously we communicate by body language and by facial expressions. And this seems obvious, right? But reading this book made me truly think about, how do I interact with people? What was my body language? Like, seriously, I'm hunched over right now as I'm like, quote unquote, talking to you guys. But a lot of the times when I'm in a real conversation sitting down, like, I hunch over. And when in reality, I probably should be sitting up, and my shoulders are back and my chest is out, and I automatically just feel the frame more. I automatically look different. My presence just feels different, especially if you see me for the first time. And these little things are so important because I realized one time I was talking to someone and I was kind of in a rush, but I talk to people sideways. Like, I kind of talk to people with my body turned and I'm never fully open to them. And when I made myself aware, that I was kind of like, wow, like, I'm either always in a rush or I'm never fully comfortable trying to find a connection with someone. And then later on, I was talking to my mentor and we were at her house, and I literally turned my body. We were sitting on the couch and like my whole body was facing her, and my torso, my legs and my face. And she told me later, she was just like, it felt really intimate. I felt like I was having an intimate conversation with you, and I felt like I could trust you. And these things, like I said, we carry them with us every day without even realizing it. And so like with this part, I encourage you to think about how you interact with people. As soon as you interact with someone, a stranger or your parents, like, what is your body language? Like, what are your facial expressions? Like, is your jaw tightened? Is your eyebrows like froed? I think that's how you say it. Like, are your hands clenched? Are you open? Are you closed? Like, just think about those things. And then the next thing is the emotional brain. And in the emotional brain, it's, you know what, you guys, I'm sorry. I mixed them up. So that was the emotional brain. That's how we communicate. I'm sorry. So let's go back, because behavioral access goes into how our behaviors keep us safe, how we find connection, and how are we being respected. So a lot of the times connecting this to, what we experience, our pattern detection, what we associate when we were being younger, and what we found that brought us safety, that brought us connection, and that brought us respect. You see that from teachers, from police officers, doctors' offices. your parents, your friends, like you're building up all of these things and detecting all these patterns about how people find these needs in life, and then you implement them and replicate them, and you carry them unconsciously. And everything that we do in life is to find essentially those three things. Finding connection is always important to us. Even if we say we're not looking for someone, we still want friends, we still find connection in some sort of way, even if it's a connection with a dog. Even the way that you interact with the dog is a way of finding connection. Even when you discipline the dog is a way of finding respect from them. So I don't know. I don't know if it's like as exciting for you as it is for me, because it really just opened up my eyes. Like, why is it that I'm reacting this way? And how am I trying to find a connection? And how is my body language replicating me finding connection? Because if I'm trying to find connection and I'm always in a rush and my body's turned this way, then how is anybody gonna want to make a connection with me if I'm closed off? Right? I don't know. Hopefully I'm making some sense here. And so as we kind of develop, these emotional ways of being, it also can create blind spots, because these away the emotional and patterns develop in our life, they can happen unconsciously, and they can create blind spots where we don't even know it's a problem. It's kind of just how life is. It's our perspective of life. So why would we change that? And so I think it's really interesting, because then it talks about how we're kind of like trees, and we shape and we bend, and we kind of rearrange, like I said, our body to kind of form and kind of like emasculate our life circumstances, you know? And I just think that's a really powerful metaphor or parallel, because it's like trees are so, what is that word I'm looking for? You can't move them. You know what I'm saying? You have to uproot them in order to move them. And even if you uproot them, it's hard to plant them back in. And that's how ingrained things are in our life and in our mind and in our body. And it shows not impossible, but how hard it is to actually find it and then change it so your leaves can be green again, you know? And so I also thought it was really interesting, because I thought it talked about filling an obligation um, that you had in your childhood, and then transferring that into responsibility in your adulthood. Um, as simply as, you're the oldest and you always had to take care of your younger siblings when you were younger. And then you translate that, and you either turn into a people pleaser, or you're always taking care of the people around you because you feel like it's a responsibility, and that's how you find connection. That's how you find safety. That's how you are respected. And so it's kind of like a revolving door where it works for you. That's what's comfortable for you. That's how you survive, essentially. And so those survival instincts is taking care of people. If you have someone that you're taking care of, then um you're going to be able to find all those things that you need from them, you know? And so I just think that, like I said, find that thing that is in your childhood that you don't really think about too often. It was kind of hard for me, of course, at first, to be like, what's something that I take into adulthood? Like, I'm just the way that I am because I am, and obviously I'm an adult and my environment's changing, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of what I seen in my childhood, I translated into adulthood. For instance, to be honest, going to church, I always felt an obligation to be this upstanding, Christian woman, and I had not to have sex before marriage, and you know tithe and this, that, and the third. It literally became the bane of my existence, and that's how I found connection. connecting with other people within the church and connecting with God when I was hurt. That's how I found comfort and finding safety. That I always felt safe in the church. I know that I was going to be protected, away from danger. And also, the principle of, oh my gosh, what was the last thing? It was connection, it was safety, and then it was, I'll go back and look at my notes. Oh, respect. Yes, respect. I acquainted with holding my morals and my values with respect. If I held my morals and my values, especially, following the 10 commandments, then I know people would respect me because it worked. And I carry that now into adulthood, but I kind of let it get in the way of letting life shape me as well, instead of always, I don't want to take away the importance of it, but it's also like that's how my mind was shaped with those things. If I never had church, then I would have operated in a completely different way in finding connection, safety, and respect in a completely different way. And so again, now that I'm saying that, it's not a bad thing because it's not always bad. It's just ingrained in us unconsciously. And like I said, I just encourage you to find the good and also find something where you're like, I compensate for this in my life because it happened when I was younger. So, um, I basically want to conclude this with saying that I wrote one more note. I say you can deeply embody patterns from your early childhood and it will automatically continue without you noticing the influence. So, I just want to encourage you by saying you're not stuck. You're going to be fine and you're going to be okay. And it's going to feel uncomfortable because we're so used to finding respect, safety, and connection in a certain way in life. And once you realize that you need those things and that's what you're after in every relationship or in every interaction that you have, again, with the place, a person, or an object. It's not really just people. Because again, your body language and your facial expression to somebody smoking a cigarette, that's honestly, that could be with safety. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel safe. You know that it's bad for you and you've registered that. Or some people, when they see a cigarette, they smile. That's a facial expression. So I genuinely just encourage you to listen to your body whenever you're interacting with things in life. Whenever you go for a walk, look up. I've never realized how much I was looking straight ahead or down when I was walking. And one time I was walking around my neighborhood and I looked up and I saw the horizon of the city that I never saw on my street before. So I encourage you to just look up, feel the breeze, when you're interacting with things, take a second after that interaction and be like, whoa, like I just noticed that I did this, that, and the third. And I want you guys to comment. Like, I hope it's not just me. And I hope that you guys learn something from this. And it's tremendously helped me, just this one part of the book, recognizing how I was holding myself and what I was connecting to and how it was affecting me in my adulthood. So we're going to come back for chapter 2 because I want to take you guys along the book with me and what I learned and how you can apply it to your life. So I ask for you guys to like this and to comment, of course, and also subscribe for some more videos and materials like this if you guys like it. I love you guys. Bye.